Super scary Sundays. Girl, you better get that out of here. Woo! Today is Super Scary Sunday, where we look at scary animations
and scary videos.
If you enjoyed these videos, then go ahead and smack that like button. And yeah, comment down below what scary video I should watch next. I post new videos every day at 3 p.m. Pacific, so make sure you come on back tomorrow. And everybody, please subscribe to my gaming channel, Yeah Matt Smith. Link in the description below. Click it and check it out. These animations that we're about to watch were made by MJV Animation, so make sure you click that link in the description below. Subscribe to them and check them out. And let's go! TikTok and Zoom story. Okay?
We all need to stop using TikTok and Zoom right now. I'm an avid TikTok user, but I mainly just watch other people's videos.
Okay.
The other day, a TikTok showed up on my feed of a time-lapse of a child aging from being a baby to being 10 years old, with the caption, "Time flies." It was late, so I watched it with one eye open as I felt myself drifting off. In the morning, I woke up to my phone playing some other random video with only 2% of my battery left. I went to work later that morning, and as usual, watched some more TikToks on my break. Again, I saw the same video pop up on my feed, the time-lapse child video.
It's that
Let it play again in
algorithm.
the background as I ate my sandwich, not really paying much attention. The end of my shift came, and I made my way to my car. Out of the corner of my eye, I thought I saw a child in the road.
Uh-oh.
As I turned to look, I only saw a bus zooming past. Nothing else left on the road. When I get back into bed, I decided to Zoom call my sister and her family. She's a little bit older than I am, and has a husband and 3 children. We talked for a bit about what we both have been up to. And then, after a while, one of her kids came into her room. I assume wanting something.
That's a scary kid.
My sister, however, just kept on talking, as if she hadn't noticed one of her kids was behind her. After a few moments, I pointed at the screen to indicate to her to look, and as she turned her head, the child was gone.
What?
The Zoom call then suddenly quit, and my screen plunged into darkness.
Oh my
I received another call, so I answered it. But this time, it was my sister's room, but without my sister in it.
What?
Instead, it was 2 children, staring into the screen with their mouths wide open, almost as if their jaws were dislocated. Bethany. My name was hissed behind my ear.
What was that?
I shot my head around me but saw nothing behind me. I turned back around to see my iPad and my screen was blank. I tried calling my sister back, but she wouldn't answer, so I figured she was busy putting her kids back to bed.
It's too late.
I browsed some Twitter, Facebook, and then finally a few TikTok videos before drifting off to sleep. I woke up around 3 a.m. to a high-pitched, chipmunked song blaring out of my phone speakers. I looked down at my phone and saw the same time-lapse video of the child.
Again?
The phone then turned black at the same time as my bedroom's light turned on. Staring at me was a child. Eyes black, and mouth wide open with a dislocated jaw. I tried to speak, but my mouth felt numb and dry, as if I'd eaten a teaspoon of cinnamon. The child's eyes sharpened, a small white pupil forming in the middle of his coal black eyes.
Oh my gosh.
A blaring white pupil, right in my direction. A voice hissed. The lights turned off. Blackness flooded the room as my phone screen turned back on. Video after video of children flashed by my eyes as my TikTok feed automatically played. Each video was a child, staring into the camera, eyes wide open, jaws dislocated.
Jeez.
This time I heard murmuring seemingly coming from these children. At first, it was a whisper, but as each video played after the next, the murmurs became a mumble, then a hiss, then a melody. The audio from the video stopped. Then, out of the silence, my phone blared into shouts of incoherent screams. The screams were no longer language known to me, just animalistic guttural cries. In desperation and horror, I threw my phone against the wall. Instead of hearing a crash, I heard a dull thud as it fell straight down onto my rug, right in front of the bed. Panic filled my body for a brief second, but then there was nothing. I woke up to the morning sun seeping through my window blinds. I got myself ready for work and made my way to my car, my hands trembling the whole journey. I spoke to one of my colleagues who I knew believed in the
he looks
supernatural,
blue.
spiritual stuff, and he listened to me intently. After I finished my story, he looked me dead in the eye and told me to get rid of my phone. He told me to stop using social media and to stop watching videos. Before I could ask him why, a customer interrupted us asking for directions for a product they couldn't find. I tried waiting for my colleague after work. I was eager to ask him more. As I leaned against my car door, I saw 3 children walk towards me. As I began to ask what they wanted, my mouth fell silent as my eyes met theirs. Their eyes were pure black, and their mouths dropped open, becoming wider and wider as I heard their jaws open into dislocation. I then felt a hand grip mine and pull me across the car park to another car. Don't look back. Try not to even think about them. My colleague rasped his voice at me.
Jeez.
I saw them. I saw those things right in front of you, in your car. I saw their eyes. I look blankly at my colleague, unable to reply. It's okay, Bethany, you must be in shock. I know who they are, what they are. You mustn't use your phone. You mustn't watch anything else online. They will leave you alone. They will go away. My throat tightens. It's okay, you don't need to say anything. Just go home, eat, and get some rest. I'll cover for you tomorrow. I walked away back to my car. My whole body felt stiff and lethargic. As I turned the key into the ignition, I saw the 3 kids again on the other side of the car. I also saw my colleague kneeling down in front of them, speaking to them. As I drove out, I drove past them, and my colleague looked up at me, his head twisted unnaturally. His eyes were black, and his mouth hung open. I sped off in my car, and I made my way home through different roads and avenues. Every time I turned my head, I saw a child on the sidewalk, eyes black, jaw dislocated. I forced myself to keep looking ahead until I reached my house. I packed some essentials and got back in my car and drove up to my dad's house. This is where I am now. I'm with my dad, in the middle of nowhere. There are no children here, no schools or play parks. I would have stayed off the internet, off of my phone, but I saw one. I still saw a child. There's no escaping them. I understand that now. You must all keep off these video sites. It's the only warning that I can think of that might protect you.
Are you kidding me? All that just because you looked at some TikToks? Oh, sorry, TikTok. Oh, not supposed to look at it, sorry. It's okay, guys, just take a break from TikTok and watch my videos on YouTube, yeah. Okay, moving on to another one.
It was the middle of summer, and my parents had left for the weekend to go to our home in Cape Cod. It's about a 2-hour drive away, so it's no big deal for them to leave me at home for a few days. My mum had made some pulled pork and pasta for me to heat up whenever I was hungry.
Pasta?
And I had some money if I wanted to order a pizza or something. Things were all good. The first night I was alone, I stayed up until about 3 in the morning playing Xbox, so I woke up really late the next day. I checked my phone when I woke up and saw it was a little past 1 p.m.
Jeez.
I'd made plans to play some street hockey with a few friends at 3. So I threw myself out of bed and stumbled into the shower. I take really long showers, so when my parents are gone, I go mental. I was in there for about 45 minutes.
Jeez.
When I heard my back door open, I immediately froze. Since obviously I was supposed to be alone, I waited for about 2 minutes, ears trained in trying to hear anything else. Nothing. I figured it was just the wind. Or maybe my parents were home early. So I turned off the shower, wrapped my towel around myself, and slowly walked down the stairs to check it out. The bathroom is directly upstairs from the back door, and the thing is pretty loud when it opens and closes. So, the stairs to the kitchen, where the back door is, are pretty tight and walled in. So I can't see into the kitchen when I walk down, even though my house is old as shit, and each step on the stairs makes a super loud creak. I still took my time, and tried to be as quiet as possible. I probably took 45 seconds walking down all of the 12 stairs.
45-minute showers.
When I get to the second to last
45-second stair
right before
walks.
I can see around the corner into the kitchen, I take a little breath to compose myself. In my mind, I knew I was being stupid. There obviously wasn't anyone in the kitchen. There's no way I wouldn't have already heard another noise. And there's no reason for them to still be in the kitchen, even if there were burglars or something in the house.
They're hungry, they want food.
After sort of mentally chastising myself for being such a wuss, I sort of chuckled to myself for being so stupid, and just normally walked the last 2 stairs, and turned the corner into the kitchen. Standing about 2 feet away from me, in the middle of the kitchen, is a man staring straight at me, perfectly still, with a massive smile across his face. He's just staring at me. The thing I remember most vividly wasn't his face or his smile, but his arms. They weren't just at his side. He held them in the strangest, most abnormal position I've ever seen.
He's possessed!
They were where one would normally hold their arms, but he had rotated them to the point where they were almost completely reversed, as well as lifting them up and a little bit behind himself. I don't know why I remember this so much, but it's just the most demonic, abnormal position I've ever seen. Honest to God, I think I almost had a heart attack right there. Looking back, I can realize how creepy the situation was, but in the moment, I just took a step towards him and punched him as hard as I could in the jaw. sort of half slapping, half pushing him towards the ground. The second I connected, I beelined up the stairs, dropping my towel in the kitchen, with my heart beating out of control.
He's naked.
I sprinted into my room and locked the door behind me. I quickly put a chair up against the doorknob, like you see in TV. Almost without thinking, I immediately called 911 and, nearly in tears, told the operator what happened.
Wow.
As I sat on the floor of my room in practically the fetal position, I noticed that the light coming from the gap between my door had stopped. The was standing outside of my door. There's no words to describe the feeling I had. I was paralyzed with fear.
Well, now he's mad.
Watching the shadow across the bottom of my door shift in tiny ways.
You punched him.
I stayed balled up, staring at the gap, praying that the man would just go away for what seemed like an hour.
He wants
All
a
the
rematch.
while, the 911 operator was asking, "Hello, sir? Are you there?
Nope.
Hello?" I didn't want to make a noise, and even if I wanted to move my arms to bring the phone up to my mouth, I don't think I could have. Eventually, the light returned to the gap, and I heard the faintest of footsteps slowly creaking the wooden floorboards as he walked down the hall.
Wow.
It was silent for minutes as I just sat there curled up, unable to even speak. Fear does funny things to the body. I heard banging on the front door, and the sound of 2 officers entering my house. I finally felt safe, and I opened up the door to the 2 of them standing there. I almost cried. Nowadays, my parents never leave me home alone, thank God. And I check every lock on the house before going to bed. I still get nightmares occasionally, and my heart starts racing whenever I see someone standing still. But I'm doing alright. Even working with sketch artists and a few lineups, the police never found whoever the was in my house.
Wow.
That sends shivers down my spine every time I look outside, half expecting to see him standing across the street, smiling under a lamppost.
Lock your doors, turn on the security alarm, and pray that nobody bust in. That's scary, man. I mean, when you got like an intruder. Ooh, not today, man. Holding his hands all weird like that. What was he doing? Trying to get you to dance? That's what he wanted. He wanted a dance battle. Yeah, that's it. All right, one more. Here we go. My daughter had been trying to warn me. About what?
My daughter's been trying to warn me for weeks. I really should have listened.
Yeah, you should have.
Daddy? I think there's a monster in the attic. I gave my daughter a tired smile. It was the best I could do at this point. She'd been doing this for weeks now. Every night I'd come and tuck her in, switch the nightlight on and kiss her goodnight. When she would pull the blanket tight under her chin and tell me about the monster living in the attic of our house.
Why do you have an attic?
Eyes wide, lips quivering. She would shake her little head furiously and insist that she could not possibly go to sleep until I got up and checked. It wouldn't matter how much I tell her that it's all just in her head, and that monsters aren't real. If I don't check the attic, she'd wake up screaming and crying just past midnight, every single time.
Jeez.
It's not like her fears were completely baseless, as we had all been hearing odd skittering noises coming from up there at night. Probably rats. No monsters that light-footed. Please, Daddy, could you go and check? She whispered, afraid that the thing upstairs would eavesdrop and get mad at her request. Okay, I replied. There was no harm in indulging this little quirk of hers for at least a little longer. After all, the day when she would stop asking me to check for monsters and slam the door shut on my face wasn't all that far away. I just wished it wasn't the attic, though.
Yeah.
Why can't the thing live in her closet like a normal monster? Like a bored robot carrying out its daily task, I trudged out of her room, yawning as I reached the attic door, before sliding the ladder down and climbing up, one rickety rung at a time.
Wow.
I popped my head into the cramped space, slipped my phone out of my pocket and turned on its flashlight. Motes of dust shivered in the pale glow cast by the phone which illuminated the attic. Cardboard boxes covered in tattered rags. My wife's old easel and some broken furniture filled up the tiny attic. But no monsters. All right, honey, I said after coming back down to my daughter's room.
He looks creepy.
I've checked. No monsters again tonight. Maybe we'll find them tomorrow. She grinned, relieved. Thank you, Daddy.
Ew.
Good night, love. Good night.
Thank you, Daddy.
Groaning and rubbing the crick in my neck, I entered our bedroom and plopped down on the bed belly first, mushing my face into the pillow. Is Daddy back from fighting monsters? My wife asked.
Why is everybody saying that?
Slight mirth dancing in her tired voice.
Quit saying Daddy.
I grunted. Yep, kicked its little ass and sent it scurrying back to hell. She chuckled, and then turned over to the other side, her back facing me. I shut my eyes and got ready to go to sleep when I was rudely interrupted by the critters in the attic skittering around like kids hopped up on candy. Freaking with their little rat paws slapping against the wooden flooring of the attic. Babe, you really need to get rid of those rats. I nodded, then realized she couldn't see me. Yeah. Tomorrow. She sighed and shrugged her shoulders. Soon her breathing slowed down as she fell asleep. I wanted to follow her into the dream world, but my stiff neck wouldn't allow me to do so. I tossed and turned, before finally realizing I'd have to lie on my back if I were to have any shot at catching some sleep.
Jeez.
And I hated doing that.
Got back problems.
I hadn't slept on my back in ages, but the ache in my neck forced me. And then that skittering again. Heck. I rubbed my forehead, wiggled my shoulders, and opened my eyes.
Don't do it.
And saw who? No, what had been making that noise for all those weeks.
Huh?
Up on the ceiling, I spotted a figure. White, but hidden by the dark. I froze. What the heck? It shifted, and there was that sound again. Like claws scratching wood. My heart beat faster and my body erupted in sweat. What the heck? What the heck? Hands trembling. I reached for my phone and gently swung it around, shining the light on the figure on the ceiling. The light fell upon a face. Old. Wrinkled. Framed by matted locks of white hair that flowed down like the aerial roots of an ancient tree.
Ew.
It was an old woman, dressed in white. Leering down at me, her fingers digging into the wood of the ceiling.
Not today.
I gasped, and the grinning woman turned and crawled out of the room, moving across the ceiling like a messed up spider woman, before disappearing into the hallway outside. I jumped out of the bed and ran out into the hallway, letting my eyes scan each and every inch of the walls outside. But there was no one there. It was like she had disappeared.
What?
I would have almost believed that I had dreamt it all up if I hadn't noticed the long claw marks on the ceiling and felt my stomach drop. And that's when I finally understood that for all those weeks that we had been hearing those sounds, it wasn't some rats skittering around. It was that woman, looking down at our sleeping bodies,
Ew!
watching, grinning.
It's the creepy attic smiling woman. See, this is why I don't have an attic, okay? I mean, man, just get a place that ain't got no basement and ain't got no attic. Oh, and lock your closets, okay? Just in case. I don't want nothing hiding up in there, not today. Woo! But if you enjoyed that video, then go ahead and smack that like button. And yeah, I'm gonna see you guys tomorrow. Until then, peace.